Welcome to The Explainer. You know, visualizing time passing, specifically aging a human face, is honestly one of the most incredible artistic challenges out there. Today, we're taking a fascinating journey into how creators realistically portray the aging of human anatomy on screen. It's an incredibly demanding task that requires both a profound knowledge of anatomy and an absolute mastery of your medium. Let's dive right into this.
Today, we'll be covering visualizing the aging process, the art of life casting, sculpting age with clay, generating age with AI, choosing the right AI model, and finally, the canvas of time.
Section 1. Visualizing the aging process. The ultimate anatomical challenge. Visualizing the aging process is universally considered one of the absolute hardest visual effects to pull off realistically. Think about it. We interact with human faces literally every single day, right? Because of that, our brains are highly attuned to even the slightest mistake or unnatural movement. As this quote brilliantly points out, the illusion of time really does require a masterful manipulation of the human form. Whether a creator is up to their elbows in physical plaster and clay, or they're typing out incredibly complex directives into a generative video algorithm, they are fundamentally attempting to manipulate human anatomy in a way that our eyes genuinely believe.
So, the crucial question here is, how do creators actually successfully bridge this massive gap between youth and old age? Well, to understand this, let's explore two vastly different workflows, starting with the very physical mastery of traditional practical effects.
Section 2, the art of life casting, capturing the canvas.
Okay, before you can artificially age a face, you absolutely have to capture the original canvas. This is the bedrock physical foundation of prosthetic makeup. We call it life casting. It's this highly precise process of creating a direct, three-dimensional mold right off a living actor's body. And let me tell you, it requires a deep, meticulous understanding of both human anatomy and chemical materials to get it right. You are literally duplicating the actor's exact facial structure.
The actual tactile steps here are pretty wild. First up, an artist applies a seaweed-based alginate directly to the skin. Fun fact, this is the exact same stuff your dentist uses for teeth impressions. Second, and this is crucial, they have to insert tubes for vital breathing holes. You definitely do not want to skip that step unless you want a fully panicked actor on your hands. Finally, they cover the whole thing in plaster bandages to create a hard support mold, just to ensure that the soft, squishy alginate doesn't completely collapse when they peel it off.
Section 3. Sculpting age with clay. Hands-on anatomy.
All right, so once you have a perfect, lifelike copy of the actor's face sitting on the workbench, we move into the transformative phase. You can really see the intense physical labor here. The artist is painstakingly reshaping the facial structure bit by bit using modeling clay, literally adding years onto that resulting life-cast bust by hand.
Now, to simulate aging convincingly, they aren't just slapping this clay on at random. It's highly strategic. They target very specific anatomical features. Clay gets added to build up heavy under-eye bags, pronounce the cheekbones, simulate sagging cheeks, and replicate loose neck skin. But here's the real kicker. The artist has to make sure the very edges of those clay additions are scraped down to be literally paper thin. If those edges aren't paper thin, there is no way they'll blend seamlessly into the actor's real skin later. So, how does a heavy clay sculpture become a wearable makeup piece? Well, the clay sculpt itself isn't what's worn. Instead, the artist creates what's called a matrix mold right over top of that final clay sculpture. Then, they pour advanced chemical materials, usually a foam latex or a super safe silicone, into the negative space left behind. Once that cures, boom, you have these incredibly soft, flexible prosthetic pieces that get meticulously glued onto the actor using special cosmetic adhesives.
And here is the incredible final result. Through hours of careful application and masterful painting to match skin tones, those physical pieces are blended flawlessly onto the actor. The illusion is completely sealed. The human form has been manipulated using physical chemistry and some serious tactile artistry.
Which brings us to Section 4, generating age with AI, the digital frontier. Now, what happens when we throw out the physical clay entirely? The contrast here is super fascinating. We're talking about sculpting with clay versus sculpting with prompts. You might think the AI just does all the heavy lifting for you, but honestly, that's a huge misconception. Generating a realistic elderly face with AI actually requires the exact same profound understanding of anatomy. You still need to know how under-eye bags sag and where deep cheekbone wrinkles form. The only real difference is how you communicate that anatomy to your canvas. Let's break this down.
Say you're structuring a prompt for an elderly character in a powerhouse video generator like Runway Gen 4.5. It requires extreme analytical precision. You have to use direct, visually detailed language. You really have to cut out all the conceptual fluff. Also, these AI models thrive on positive phrasing. You want to avoid negative commands at all costs. So instead of typing, "the camera doesn't move," you have to describe exactly what the camera is doing. To manifest those realistic aging details, you must explicitly write out those anatomical features. You have to literally ask for heavy under-eye bags or deeply textured sagging neck skin. You are still the sculptor here. The prompt is just your digital clay.
Section 5, choosing the right model. Matching the tool to the task.
You know, just like a makeup artist has to choose between foam latex or silicone depending on the specific look they want, a digital artist has to pick the absolute best AI model for their task. And these AI video generators have gotten highly specialized. For instance, if you need hyper-real elderly skin textures and flawless lip syncing, Kling 3.0 is an absolute beast at that. But if you're going for deep narrative storytelling, maybe showing a character aging consistently across an entire scene, OpenAI's Sora 2 gives you unmatched temporal consistency and polish. Then you have Runway Gen 4.5, which is fantastic for strict directorial control. Say you want an extreme macro close-up tracking along the deep wrinkles of an elderly face. Runway gives you those incredible camera controls. Basically, your workflow completely dictates your tool.
Section 6, the canvas of time. Anatomy remains supreme.
When we take a step back and bring these two vastly different workflows together, there's this really beautiful shared foundation that emerges. Whether a creator is getting their hands dirty with seaweed alginate modeling clay, or they're wrangling the latest video generation algorithms with highly structured text prompts, the core truth is exactly the same. True mastery requires a profound, intimate understanding of human anatomy. Practical effects in generative AI are just different, equally valid, and incredibly powerful brushes used to paint the canvas of time onto the human face.
So, I want to leave you with this final thought to chew on. As artificial intelligence becomes increasingly capable of perfectly mimicking even the most painstaking physical prosthetics, what exactly is the future of identity, of acting, and of aging in our media? How are these converging tools going to completely reshape the kinds of stories we can tell? It's a lot to think about. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer today, and keep exploring.